Why did almost everyone in Pride and Prejudice act as though Elizabeth Bennet marrying Mr. Darcy was almost impossible? To us, it seems strange. She's funny, she's beautiful, she isn't afraid to speak her mind, and she can match Darcy in conversation better than almost anyone else. So, what is the problem? Today, we usually think the perfect partner is someone you connect with emotionally, someone who makes you laugh and shares your values. But in Regency England, that's not how upper classes looked at marriage. Love was nice if it happened, but it wasn't the main goal. Marriage was often treated almost like a business arrangement. Families considered wealth, social rank, family reputation, inheritance, and connections long before they thought about romance. When a wealthy gentleman married, he wasn't simply choosing a wife. He was joining two families together. His decision affected his family's status, future children, and even how other members of society viewed them. And that's why Mr. Darcy's marriage attracted so much attention. Darcy wasn't just another gentleman, he was one of the wealthiest landowners in England, earning around £10,000 a year, a huge fortune at the time. He owned the magnificent estate of Pemberley, employed countless servants, and belonged to the highest level of the landed gentry. A man like Darcy had options. Many aristocratic and wealthy families would have hoped their daughters might marry someone exactly like him. Such a marriage could increase influence and secure financial advantages. People expected Darcy to marry a woman from his own social world, someone with an equally distinguished family, impressive connections, and a fortune to match. So when Elizabeth Bennet entered the picture, many people didn't see a charming young woman falling in love with a wealthy gentleman. They saw someone who, by the standards of Regency society, seemed completely out of place. And Elizabeth had several disadvantages that made many people, including Lady Catherine and even Darcy himself at first, believe she simply wasn't good enough for him. Number one reason why people believed Elizabeth Bennet was not a good match for Darcy, it wasn't actually Elizabeth, it was her family. The Bennets were respectable country gentry. They weren't poor, they owned a comfortable estate, and they mixed with other respectable families. But respectability wasn't enough. People who paid close attention to how a family behaved, and unfortunately, the Bennets had a reputation of being difficult. Let's start with Mr. Bennet. He is intelligent and very funny, but he is also emotionally distant. Instead of guiding his younger daughters, he usually sits back and laughs at their foolish behavior. He rarely steps in to correct them. That might make him entertaining as a character, but as a father, he's neglecting his responsibilities. Then there's Mrs. Bennet. She loves her daughters and desperately wants them to marry well. In many ways, her worries are understandable. The problem is how she expresses them. She speaks without thinking, becomes overly excited, shares private matters in public. She is loud and desperate. For families looking for a refined daughter-in-law, this reflected badly on everyone in the household. The younger sisters didn't help either. Lydia is reckless and constantly chasing attention. Kitty mostly follows Lydia. She is highly influenced by her younger sister. Mary is the opposite. She tries very hard to appear intelligent and accomplished, but often says the wrong thing at the wrong time. Only Jane escapes almost everyone's criticism. She is kind, gentle, beautiful, and well-mannered. Even characters who dislike the Bennets usually have little negative to say about Jane. But in Regency England, that wasn't enough. They judged the entire family. If parents failed to control their children, it reflected on everyone. A family's reputation could raise or damage the marriage prospects of every unmarried son and daughter. Then there was the question of money. The Bennets lived comfortably, but they weren't wealthy. But after Mr. Bennet's death, the daughters would not inherit the property. Each daughter would receive only a relatively modest dowry, making them far less attractive than women whose families could offer large fortune. For wealthy families arranging marriages, this mattered a great deal. So when Darcy's relatives looked at Elizabeth, they weren't only looking at her, they were judging every aspect. From their point of view, Darcy wouldn't simply be marrying Elizabeth, he would be marrying into the Bennet family. Even without the family, many people thought Elizabeth herself wasn't a suitable match for Darcy because she didn't behave the way many people expected a respectable young lady to behave. In Regency England, an ideal woman was expected to be gentle, modest, and careful with her words. She was supposed to avoid conflict, respect social hierarchies, and never appear too outspoken. But Elizabeth enjoyed clever conversations and wasn't afraid to disagree with people, even if they were richer or more powerful than she was. She questioned opinions instead of quietly accepting them. And when she believed someone was wrong, she wasn't afraid to say so. To many people living in her own time, it was improper. One famous example is her walk to visit Jane when she was ill. Rather than waiting for a carriage, Elizabeth walked several miles across muddy fields by herself. When she arrived, her shoes and clothes were dirty from the journey. People of high society thought it showed a lack of refinement. They believed a lady should always appear elegant and composed, no matter the circumstances. Elizabeth also did something even more unusual. She rejected marriage proposals. For many women, especially those without great wealth, refusing a respectable proposal was considered risky. Yet Elizabeth refused when she believed a marriage would not make her happy. She valued her own judgment more than public opinion. Perhaps most surprising of all, she argued with Mr. Darcy himself. Darcy was one of the wealthiest and most influential gentlemen in the country. Most people would have been careful not to offend him, but Elizabeth questioned him, criticized him, and refused to flatter him simply because of his rank. That kind of confidence could easily be mistaken for pride or stubbornness. A woman who spoke too freely was often described as difficult rather than intelligent. She preferred honesty over flattery even when honesty made her unpopular. This is why modern readers usually admire Elizabeth, while many people in Regency society would have criticized her. To them, she was not a perfect lady, and at first neither did Darcy think she was suitable. Elizabeth did not try to become like everyone else, and that was the very thing that eventually set her apart from every other woman Darcy had ever met. In the beginning, Darcy judged people the way many wealthy gentlemen of his time were taught to do. Good family, high social rank, polished manners, and wealth all seemed like reliable signs of a person's value, but Darcy eventually understands that he met people with perfect manners who were selfish. He met people with impressive family connections who were proud and unkind. And he met people who could say all the right things while hiding their true character. And Elizabeth is different from all of them. She does not pretend to admire people simply because they are rich. She doesn't flatter powerful individuals to gain advantages. That honesty surprises Darcy. Elizabeth inspires him to look honestly at his own pride, his assumptions, and the way he treats others. Instead of trying to become the woman society expected, Elizabeth inspires Darcy to become a better man. And in the midst of it all, he realized he is in love with Elizabeth. And his actions and character development also make Elizabeth fall in love with him. And that may be Jane Austen's message, how we often judge people by the first impression. The interesting fact is the novel's name was supposed to be First Impression, but Austen later changed it to Pride and Prejudice. She took it from a line of another book called Cecilia, a book that Austen herself greatly admired. Let me know in the comment section why everyone, and especially Mr. Darcy, thought Elizabeth was not good enough for him from your perspective. And if you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much. Have a good day.